BYDFi is a crypto exchange on desktop and mobile where you can spot trade, futures trade, use leverage tokens, and copy the trades of top traders. If you sign up with the link in the description, you get a free $100 when you deposit $100. There's hundreds of crypto available on their spot exchange, as well as a free test account so you can practice futures trading without getting wrecked. BYDFi.
Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's try and apply some TA to the EOS chart. So I don't know if anyone's interested, but I've got a Patreon live stream tonight. If you want to join that, links in the description below. Look at whatever charts you want to bring to the table. This is a chart that we've not looked at in a while. EOS. Now, we did a decent trade on EOS in the last bull market, right? So it was a little bit of a delayed fuse on EOS, but it worked pretty well. So there's a giant descending triangle, similar to the XRP chart, really. Huge descending triangle. We broke out, accumulated along it, and it recognized where we are on here. So sideways accumulation took place over a very wide range from 135 to the peak of around about 380. So we're talking basically 100% range of accumulation. Now, yeah, obviously you could accumulate in the center of the range. As we were in a bull market, you know, we were still within the descending triangle. This is why it's very similar to XRP. It had its own thing going on, really. Very long, drawn-out consolidation from its previous high, which is much higher than what's recognized here on the Binance chart. But only really broke bullish when we crept out of the descending triangle. And not only that, there was a pump signal from what I remember, or maybe even a trend signal, I believe, on the Itchy Cloud. Yeah, there was. There was also one on the weekly that I remember, because I remember it dumping and me picking it all back up again. So this is a chart that does respond to signals and responds quite well. So there's your trend signal. So we had the dump down into a 50 exponential, and the pump signal was generated basically that week, and we continued up from that level. What's about 300% or something along those lines from that week. Yeah, about 350, 360%. So we're not looking for anything like that right now, obviously. This was sort of bull market getting heated. Then we moved into an alt season, a significant one. And so you could look back at this and say, well, actually, it's pretty lame, in all fairness, in comparison to the other trades that we'd done, whether it's Matic or Holochain or, you know, any one of those ones that we did where we had, you know, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of X accumulate in our portfolio balance. So, yeah, arguably EOS was a pretty lame one, but it worked all the same. So, yeah, there's a reason we're looking at it right now. And that's a bit of an educated guess that scraping some of these lows as they form now might end up being a relatively okay long-term investment. Recognize what I said, it was a massive underperformer despite making us 350%. It was a massive underperformer previously. But 350% is not to be sniffed at. I mean, yeah, some people would be like, you know, I can't believe you made 350%, you know. But in crypto terms, a lot of people will go, 350%. But actually, you know, in reality, that's what we call a first world problem, isn't it? Complaining about only making a 350% gain in a relatively short space of time. Poor you. Poor you. You know, woe is me. Right, so what we're seeing here is there is a line here, a horizontal trend line, basically around 80 cents, retested once again here, retested once again here, and throughout this we have had higher highs, higher lows on the RSI, meaning that this is likely a divergence play that's taking place on a weekly, looking more like an accumulation similar to that of the previous accumulation around these levels. Higher highs, higher lows, weekly RSI, breakout, you know, alt season. So there is no breakout on this chart. There is no breakout. There is what could be considered an accumulation on a weekly, but there is no breakout. So we're not looking for immediate massive gains or anything like that, but what we are looking at is potentially scraping some significant lows. Now, EOS, I'm not a massive EOS fanboy. We like to joke about it on the Telegram when it was pumping, because when it did pump, sometimes it'd do a 30% in a day or whatever. We'd love it when EOS pumps. But really, it was far and few between, which is why we loved it so much when it did pump. Now, looking at the chart, obviously, this isn't a chart that you'd be looking for immediate bullish continuation or anything like that, but we are looking to think about maybe slotting in some dollar cost averaging into these levels for what is an educated guess as to where it's going to be later on down the line. Now, like, I don't know if you know much about it, but EOS has been incorporated with the Bullish Exchange. The Bullish Exchange is an exchange that came online later than all the others. It's still relatively new. It's probably less than it's probably about a year old now. And you don't hear too much about it, but the backers on the bullish exchange are huge. There's an enormous amount of money that was put forward to start that exchange up. Never mind the liquidity that was all very well known with the amount of Bitcoin that was made from the original ICO that was EOS back in 2017. So there's an enormous amount of money in that exchange, holding it up, backing it, and their primary market is the American market. So we have, or should I say, there is a big void in the American market since the downfall of FTX. Now there's going to be skepticism going on with Binance US, right? And so if there's a couple of exchanges left which are trying to, which will try and muscle in, one of them being, I suppose, Crypto.com, and the other one is likely to be Bullish Exchange. Now, the Bullish Exchange are, like I say, they might be using EOS token as some form of exchange token. They may not, but the affiliation with EOS is quite high. It's probably going to be seen as an exchange token. Either way, I don't think there's going to be any liquidity issues with that exchange. And if they do start to muscle into the American market, amongst all this regulation madness, I think they're the ones who are going to pass it. Because if you've ever tried to set up an account on the Bullish Exchange, it's very much like setting up an account with a traditional market exchange, whether it's CFD trading or higher. They ask for everything. They want to know not just KYC, they want to know what colour underpants you're wearing that day. They are doing it by the book. So it looks to me like there might be a big player in town. It might not appear that way today, but a little bit further down the line, there might be something going on with the Bullish Exchange. And maybe 5 years from now, they might be the primary exchange in the American markets. You think crypto is going away, do you? No? You think America are going to in some way embrace it, whether it's on a regulatory highly conditioned way, or they're just going to fail? I don't know. It depends on your viewpoint of how all this regulation is going to turn out. But whichever way it flips, the Bullish Exchange, I think, is likely to end up being one of the major players in the American market. Right now, they're like a scorpion hiding under a rock. Right now, you don't really know that they're there, but they are there, and their volume even now is huge. It is huge. And like I say, I think there's going to be something to it. And so if that is the case, me and the old exchange token viewpoint, I think it's a reasonable thing to think about owning exchange tokens, especially if there's a major player which is sitting in the shadows waiting for the dust to settle, which may come out basically on top. Once Binance has been muscled out for whatever reason and FTX is disappeared into its own shadow, there's going to be a power struggle in America. And these guys have got the backing to win. They really do. Anyway, like I say, in some way affiliated with the EOS token, because, well, basically it is. So we look at this as what, an accumulation range. Is it similar in its size to the previous one? Let's have a think. So from the bottom to the top, we're talking about a 70% range, similar to the previous one, which is basically about a 90% range thereabouts. We've got the bullish divergence on the weekly. What do we have on the daily? Well, we have a small, tiny reaction from the last time we tagged it. Let's have a look at the Bitcoin pair, which is a similar kind of kettle of fish, I'd say. On the weekly, we've got even more pronounced bullish divergence. And again, this is just a weekly divergence play. It's really nothing to get particularly excited over. We've got high and higher low over here. So again, nothing massive to get particularly excited about. It's not anything that you would say, oh, we're going to go to the moon based on what we see right now. We've got a trend of resistance on the RSI on the weekly. So they're all very fine for further continuation down. This is absolutely nothing to get massively bullish about. However, we are thinking about not just divergence plays and a fundamental play. And we're trying to think forward to how this is going to react in the future when all this, everything settles and bullish comes more or less, not just online, but potentially becomes the biggest exchange in the American markets.
We also, if you really wanted to bother about the short-term timeframes, we're also quite close to having a decent signal on the Ichimoku cloud. We'll be waiting for this portion to go green over here. We'll be waiting for this to cross. We'll be waiting for this to get above price action. We're waiting for this to get above price action. So all of the criteria right now have not been met whatsoever. But if we were to reclaim probably 92 on a 4-hourly, we would almost certainly receive all 4 components of the pump signal straight away. And if that's the case, we'll be looking for a move for EOS into the lower dollars. So anywhere between 108 to maybe as high as the previous move over here, which is roughly around 120. So look, there is evidence enough to think that there is going to be some life in EOS in the short term. In the long term, I think that this area down here is reasonable to think scraping it up. Again, it's an altcoin of extreme disappointment for most people, most of the time. But if you want to try and think forward a little bit, overlay the fundamentals of what it would mean for the bullish exchange and what this token can do over a long period of time, maybe there's something to it. Scraping up some of these tokens at the 80 or lower cent zone might be an okay hodl for the long haul. Anyway, I will leave it with you there. Remember, this is not a 10x, a 100xer, none of these sort of things. The best you should ever expect from something like this is maybe a move into, I don't know, the $3 to $5 zone throughout the bull market. So recognize what I said. That is not an enormous amount of returns. If you're looking to risk your life savings on something that could potentially make 100x, this is probably not the one. Yeah, risking your life savings on any crypto is probably a bad idea. But you got to see it where I'm coming from. From a technical perspective, there is a sideways accumulation factor going on here on the longer term timeframes, complemented by an exchange which is trying to fill a void in the American markets where there is definitely going to be a power struggle. There already is, but there's definitely going to be a further power struggle amidst the stuff that's going on there right now with Coinbase and Binance. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. Bit of food for thought. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.